And welcome back, everyone. My name is Rob McConnell. This is the X-Zone on the Talkstar Radio Network and the X-Zone Broadcast Network. And we're coming to you across the world through our family of broadcast affiliates across Canada, the United States, Central America, the Caribbean, South America, the Pacific Rim, Australia, Asia, India, Africa, and Europe. If you'd like to give us a call, toll-free worldwide, 1-800-610-7035. My email address is xzone@xzoneradiotv.com. On MSN Messenger, you can always chat with me here in our studios or one of our other people by using the MSN address, xzoneradiotv@hotmail.com, and our website, www.xzoneradiotv.com. Jonathan Goldman is my guest this hour, and nearly 15 years ago, sound healer pioneer Jonathan Goldman made a monumental, so powerful, he contemplated whether he could share it with the world. He uncovered the secret sound of God that, when intoned, has the potential to transform our lives. Originally found in the ancient religious texts, this name has been banned, suppressed, lost for centuries, and ultimately forgotten. Now, in his new book, The Divine Name, The Sound That Can Change the World, which is published by Hay House, Jonathan reveals how this ancient name, when vocalized, irrespective of religious beliefs, has the power and potential to usher in a new era of healing, peace, and unity. According to Jonathan, encoded within our DNA is the personal name of God, once found in the religious texts that link over half the world's population. Now prohibited, then lost for nearly 2,500 years, the divine name is available once again. It is a sound that, when vocalized, has the ability to resonate both the physical body and subtle energy fields of anyone who intones it, irrespective of religious beliefs, traditions, or other beliefs. Joining me now is Jonathan Goldman. Jonathan, great having you with us here in the X-Zone.
Rob, it is such a pleasure to be talking to you, and what a beautiful, beautiful presentation you gave of my work so far. I don't know if it's necessary for me to say anything more. You said it all.
Well,
beautiful.
We're so happy that you're with us, Jonathan, because I heard you were kind enough, your people were kind enough to send us an audio clip of what we're going to be talking about. We're going to play it a little later on, but when I heard it, I felt something very strange moving inside. Yeah, I felt an enlightenment. I felt a feeling of joy and an inner presence. Is this normal when a person hears the sounds that we're going to be talking about this hour?
Actually, it is, and it, is very much what I experienced firsthand, only on a more powerful level, because if you can perceive that sound on one level, such as listen to the sound that you heard, goes through our ears and into our brains and affects our nervous system, our heart rate, respiration, our entire body, and also our emotional field, that's one thing. But if you make the sound yourself, it's like amplification of the power of this energy, because it's coming from within and going without, and it's just really, I have been in this field of using sound as a healing modality, studying it, researching it, working with mantras and sounds from every different tradition. And when I encountered, uncovered, discovered, whatever term you want to use, when I first made the sound, it did something to me that I'd never experienced, and 15 years later, it continues to have the same effect.
All right, Jonathan, please stand by. We've got to take our 2-minute commercial break. We'll be right back. Jonathan Goldman is my special guest, www.thedivinename.com. We'll be back on the other side of this 2-minute break as the X-Zone continues, right here from our studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. With each new extreme weather event or terrorist act, it becomes increasingly obvious that we live in uncertain and challenging times. We all buy car insurance. Why not collapse and catastrophe insurance? Matthew Stein, an MIT-trained engineer and green builder, has written 2 outstanding books to help people prepare, plan for, and deal with everything from minor situations lasting a few days to full-on collapse. Matt's first book, When Technology Fails, is a manual for self-reliance, sustainable living, and surviving the long emergency. This massive book covers the gamut from first aid and emergency preparedness to alternative healing, renewable energy, primitive living skills, and 18th century technologies that could be critical to your comfort and survival in a long-lasting crisis. Matt's second book, When Disaster Strikes, is a comprehensive emergency preparedness handbook and survival guide. When Disaster Strikes is an essential item for every family's go bag. Both books are available at all usual sources. There's a wealth of totally free information posted at whentechfails.com, and author-signed copies may be purchased at mattstein.com. That's www.whentechfails.com and www.mattstein.com.
Do you have a dis-ease that you would like to alleviate through a natural means? Have you been contacted by angels, ghosts, or even extraterrestrials and want to validate these experiences? Or would you simply like to speak with someone who can help you find your life's purpose? I'm Dr. Joseph Mara, and I'm offering my services free of charge for first-time clients contacting me during the month of April. These free consultations include angel card readings, guided meditations, life coaching, and energy healing. If you have always wanted to explore these types of experiences but were skeptical or simply could not afford them, then take advantage of this free special offer. Contact me through my website, aguidinglight, spelled lite.com, to schedule your consultation today. Until then, I offer you love, light, and laughter.
And welcome back, one and all. Jonathan Goldman is our special guest. www.thedivinename.com is his website. And we're going to be talking about sound that can heal us and the planet. Jonathan, where did you find this wonderful divine name, this sound that touches one and all who hear it, not to mention only hear it, but those who experience it firsthand by chanting it or singing it? How do we do it?
Well, Rob, it's kind of an interesting story, and I'm just going to preface it by saying that I, if you like, discovered it through a means that is actually not that unusual. That is, I basically awakened from a dream and was given this information. Mm-hmm. I just want to basically take a step back and go
Sure.
that this idea of getting great information, great discoveries from a dream is not that unusual, to such a degree that the fellow who basically discovered DNA, or one of the partners who won the Nobel Prize, James Watson, literally had this dream of these interlacing spiral staircases, woke up and thought, oh, this substance that I've been looking for, this, if you like, DNA, is actually in a spiral double helix. So the inspiration came to him from a dream. And for myself, I basically awakened from the dream, and as I was awakening from this dream, an inner voice told me to sound particular vowels in a specific order in order to just experience it. And just, if I can backtrack for myself for a moment,
Certainly.
I have basically been in this field for about 30 years, researching the uses of sound music for healing. I have a degree from Lesley University, a master's degree, actually researching this. And a lot of my work for the first 15 years had to do with using the vowel sounds to resonate the chakras. And the chakras are these, if you like, subtle energy centers of the body that are also associated with different spiritual aspects. For example, the crown chakra, as it's called, at the top of the head, well, pictures of saints with halos are a depiction, for example, of an activated crown chakra. And modern science is now validating that these energy centers, these, if you like, transduction points, actually exist. And I had developed a system of working with the specific different vowel sounds to resonate the chakras, and I would begin at the base of the spine, going all the way up to the top of my head. And I've been doing that for a long time, Rod. So when I was told, make the sounds going from the top of your head back to the base of your spine and then going up, I had sort of been so indoctrinated I could count from 1 to 7, but I couldn't go from 7 to 1 and then back up again. So I literally had to write these out. I wrote them out. I made this sound. Two things happened. The first was that I experienced the energy, if you like, going from the top of my head to the base of my spine and then back out again. Now, this wasn't that, if you like, illuminating for me, because having worked with sound, this was the purpose of the sounds that I made, and I sort of expected it to happen, and it did. But the other thing, the second thing that occurred, was that I heard, as I made these elongated vowel sounds, this ancient, sacred name of God that had basically been found initially in the Old Testament, which of course is the foundation for the different Abrahamic traditions, Judaism, Christianity, and the Islamic tradition. And I thought, my goodness gracious, I think I have discovered the secret name, the personal name of God. And it was literally amazingly powerful for me, and I, at the time, didn't know what to do, so I had to really sit and think on it for a while. And what I would also like to suggest is that it is, in at least mythos said that this name is not to be spoken. And I can understand that because, you can say this name if you want, but the reality is it doesn't have the power, because the true power lies in the vocalization, the intonation of it.
All right. So if I understand when people would say, you're not to say this name, people would get the wrong idea, thinking that if they said the name, something horrible would happen. But what the person was saying is, it's not supposed to be said. You're supposed to sing it.
Right, it doesn't have the effect.
Right.
And, rather than even using the word sing, because then people think, oh, well, I've got, because there's so many people who figure they can't carry a tune in a bucket. They go, well, then I can't do this because I can't sing.
All right,
so I like to say, just intone it, man. Vocalize it.
All right,
intone it. Make it as an extended chant, you know what I mean?
Yes, I do. So it's called intoning.
Yes, or toning, if you like, yeah.
Is that why monks around the world do chants? Is there a connection between the religious chants and the toning that we're talking about this hour?
Oh, very, very much so. And particularly you'll find that the use of elongated vowel sounds is found in all different traditions, whether it's the Native American tradition or the Tibetan tradition, or once again the Kabbalistic tradition. Almost all indigenous peoples. I was just speaking to a master of Hindu mantra chanting yesterday, and he was telling me that dating back 3,000 years ago, they have these specific elongated vowels in their chants, and they don't actually even have knowledge of what they mean, but it's just more or less a feeling, if you like, because, if somebody, for example, the ah sound, it's a sound we make that when we're in love, and somebody could be in, Japan, or they could be in India, or they could be in Peru, and they could be feeling that energy of love, and they'd all go, ah. So it's like almost a universal sound that has feeling, but perhaps not meaning.
Why has it taken so long for this knowledge to reach the Americas? If this knowledge has been around for so long, I'm very happy that you're with us and that you're bringing it back up front, and that you're going to be telling us about the divine name. But why did it take so long? Why didn't North Americans open up their ears, open up their hearts, and open up their minds long time ago?
Well, I would say Native Americans certainly have.
All right,
I've worked with Native
Americans.
American medicine people who, we've created secrets about sound, and they've known about it for a long time. But in terms of the, shall I say, settlers here who came here, we've been much more involved in, shall we say, the physical aspects of life, building things, making things, perhaps even taking control of the planet, if you like. And so we haven't been all that interested in the spiritual aspect, except, of course, there have been the religions. But, for many people, they will go to church on Sunday. You know what? It was that old, one day of prayer and 6 nights of fun.
Yes.
Very few people actually will practice a spiritual existence, which is being in resonance and in harmony with themselves and with nature and with the divine. So I think that now in certainly the West, we're beginning to go, wow, I've got all these material things and I'm still not happy. What's missing? And I think what's missing is our connection to that inner self and if you like, the divine.
Exonation, Jonathan Goldman is our special guest, www.divinename.com. Jonathan, as I said, your people were kind enough to send us an audio clip. It's about 1 minute and 6 seconds. How about if I play it now and we can talk about it?
Sounds great, Rob. Thank you.
All right, here we go. This is from Jonathan Goldman. That is Jonathan Goldman, Exonation Toning. And what is the divine name? How can we hear it in that intonement or that toning?
Okay. Well, once again, that was a series of vowel sounds, and going in a specific sequence. Going when I make the sound, going from the top of the head, going down the body, and back up again. You could perceive of it as being the sound, biblically, it's, if you listen, there is this ancient personal name of God that is often pronounced Yahweh, but as, my saying it has no power, and yet I like to believe that, intoning it, such as we just heard, was a pretty interesting experience for a lot of people.
It was, and I'm giving you my personal experience here. As I said earlier, I certainly felt something, and when I was talking at a production meeting earlier today, we were talking about you coming on the show, and one of our producers asked me to ask you a question. Is this why in certain parts of the world they have chanters in these towers? Is that a way of calling people to church as well as a toning?
Oh, of course. And, one of the great things about doing it in the towers is that the sound is really, very resonant and echoey, and if you like, full of what are called these harmonics or sounds within sound. So it really has this almost deep spiritual, mystical tone to it, and people go, wow, what the heck is that? That sounds good.
Jonathan, please stand by. You and I have to take our news break at the bottom of the hour. Jonathan Goldman is our special guest. Exonation, www.thedivinename.com. This is the X Zone, coming to you from our studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. My name is Rob McConnell. I'll be back with Jonathan Goldman, and what we'll do when we come back is we'll play that clip we just played from Jonathan as the X Zone continues live and around the world from our studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Don't go away. Now you can dial in to listen to the X Zone radio show from anywhere in the world with Rob McConnell 24/7, 365 by dialing 213-401-0080. That's 213-401-0080. If you have a mobile phone or landline, the X Zone radio show with Rob McConnell is now at your beck and call at 213-401-0080. That's 213-401-0080, 24/7. 365.
So I went back to the doctors because when I needed a second opinion, and I went back and told him he was a good doctor, but he wasn't there. I got some woman in a white coat standing there. I said, "Excuse me, but who are you?" She said, "I'm a nurse practitioner." I said, "You mean you're practicing being a nurse?" She said, no, not quite like that. No, I am a qualified nurse. I said, oh, then why do they call you a practitioner? Because you're practicing on me. I'm not sure I want that. She said, no. Nurse practitioners allowed to give you prescriptions, help you with minor surgeries, and all that kind of thing. And I take care of you when the doc's not around. She said, we're going to become really popular. I said, well, blimey, somebody like you is going to be really popular. Let me tell you. Oh, she said she got offended with that. So I said, sorry, I didn't mean to offend you. But now I know what a nurse practitioner is, don't I? Remember that, nurse practitioner, they're the future. Find a good one.
For more information on Alfie and Jeff Knott, visit www.navigatingthehealthcaremaze.com. That's www.navigatingthehealthcaremaze.com.
Hi, this is Ken Elliott. When I'm floating around the universe, I always try to tune in to Rob McConnell.
Hi ho there, Timothy Frog on Sesame Street. When I want to find out what's going on with UFOs or ghosts, I listen to the X Zone with Rob McConnell.
This is Les Corrigan from Target Internet Development. You're listening to Rob McConnell on the X Zone Radio Show.
This is John Hogue, Prophecy Scholar, and you're listening to Rob McConnell in the X Zone.
Welcome to the X Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
Explanation, Jonathan Goldman is our special guest, www.thedivinename.com. And that was Jonathan Toning. And Jonathan, you say that it's a universal healing sound. How can it heal us?
Well, it's interesting. I mean, Rob, first and foremost, virtually any sound that we make with our voice, as long as it's not constricted, can actually help relieve tension and pain. I mean, just from a very, very basic level, what happens when you stub your toe?
Oh, I let out one heck of a yelp.
Yeah, so it's, and this is just a natural aspect of toning to relieve pain. And, when people are hurt, they will oftentimes moan and groan. There's another aspect of using, if you like, the voice, which is, if it's relieving pain, it's healing. But they've also found scientifically that there are all sorts of things that occur when people make self-created sounds, including, for example, increased oxygen in the cells, increased levels of melatonin, which is this hormone that helps create sleep and reduce levels of stress-related hormones, the release of endorphins, which are self-created opiates that work as natural painkillers. Yes. Just all sorts of different things are created by the physical body itself when we make sound, let alone this particular sound, which, as I said, brings the energy from the top of the head down to the base of the spine and the back out again. And when we experience that, it really puts us into a very, very deep and altered state of consciousness that allows us to, if you want, be not only in a really deep state of meditation, but I like to believe it also allows us to be able to commune with what could be called the divine.
Now, how can something as powerful as the divine name actually work with all the other religions on the planet? How can it work if someone doesn't believe, for example, in God or the divine?
Right. Well, that's a great question, and I would say that when you sound this, okay, or even when you're listening to it, there are, physiological effects that transcend our belief system. Because once again, there's an aspect of sound that goes simply into our ears, into our brains, and it affects our nervous system. There's a science based on this called psychoacoustics. And so certain sounds, for example, cause a reduction of heartbeat, respiration, and brain waves. And then when you begin to actually work with sounds and learning to make them in a certain pattern, you can literally feel the physical resonance with this sound going from the top of your head back down to the base of my spine and then back up again. And it's not a matter of belief. It's simply a matter of experience.
All right, so basically once somebody experiences it, that's when the change is made.
Right.
Interesting.
I just came back from teaching a workshop at a place in the United States called Yogaville, and it was a wonderful place, and basically founded by a Hindu Swami, but the people at the workshop were from all different traditions. So I had, secular people chanting with very, very, people who were interested in healing, but perhaps not of a particular thing. And it was just amazing to have a group of people from all different traditions sound together, and ultimately at the end of the workshop be in a state of awe at the power of this sound. Now, once again, you ask, well, how, from different traditions, and the fact is, Rob, that we're talking about the vowel sounds, and what's so wonderful about the vowel sounds is that they're found in every different tradition, and, you can basically teach somebody how to resonate their physical body and their energy centers with the vowel sounds without having them have to believe in something. It's something they can simply experience. But getting biblical, if I can for a second,
Sure.
There's the old story in the Bible of the Tower of Babel, right?
Yes.
People were able to communicate with each other. And then because of their hubris, their pride, for whatever reason, they try to build a stairway to heaven. And the divine basically decided to stop that by making them unable to communicate with each other. Well, the easiest way you could do that would be to simply put some consonants in different places in different sentences, creating different languages, and all of a sudden people couldn't communicate. But the vowel sounds, they're pure, and in a lot of traditions, they're perceived of as being the sounds of the God planes, for want of a better term.
What benefits can intoning the divine name provide both spiritually and physically, Jonathan?
Well, once again, as I was mentioning, physically, Rob, you have this lowering of heart rate, or blood pressure, respiration, or brain waves, and all these different wonderful, neurochemicals being released from melatonin to the opiates to this is not nitrous oxide, which is what you go to the dentist's office for, but something called nitric oxide, which is a molecule that is really being associated with the promotion of healing. It's a fairly new discovery, and that's one of the things that's released through sound. And of course, once again, just resonating our energy centers, our chakras, if you like, or which once again is also being validated by modern science. And then I'm most interested also in the fact that if people can get together and make this sound together, they actually have the potential of interfacing and shifting the very consciousness of the planet. Now, I know I just said something very, very heavy.
Tell me, is toning being used in hospitals to help those who are less fortunate than those of us who enjoy strong health?
A very excellent question again, and well, obviously, naturally it is, because people do moan and groan and make sound in hospitals. And, as an experiment, if you ever want to try it sometime, stub your toe and don't make a sound, or don't stub your, not purposely.
No. What I'm saying, Jonathan, is the toning that we're discussing today. I don't mean the groaning. I mean the toning. Is it being used in hospitals across the United States and Canada? And if not, why?
Boy, that's such a wonderful question again, and I would say not, and usually in a hospital zone it usually says quiet, please, doesn't it?
Well, it does.
In other words, despite the really therapeutic effects of toning such as this, unfortunately, I guess either a lot of people would find it disturbing or else just distracting or something, but which is too bad because it is so therapeutic.
Have you ever approached a hospital or a doctor and said, "Listen, I have something here that I believe with all my heart that can help cure people. It can help people, and I'd like to talk to you about it, and I'd like to give you a demonstration, and I'd like to try and see if it works in a hospital"?
Well, 30 years ago, I began doing this, and I certainly had very, very interested hospital staff. And now, 30 years later, with a little bit more of an awareness of the way the medical system works, I think that probably with millions of dollars to do the research to prove that which we already know, it might then get into hospitals. I have a student friend who is a teacher at Harvard Medical School, and literally, he was saying, well, I really want to research the sound work so that we can really present it. And we spent quite a while trying to do that. And Rob, it was just at this particular time too difficult because the pharmaceutical industry seems to have so much of a grasp.
All right, so is the answer to my question no?
Yeah. No, because basically what would happen if they found out you could cure a headache with a sound instead of a pill?
All right, but what is the sense in having this technique that can help people if you're not really pushing it to the point where it can really make a difference, and that's with those who are in the hospital?
Well, I mean, I think that it can actually really make a difference for anybody, whether they're suffering from, because once again, I think it may be the ultimate healing sound, but on a level, I don't think we have to be ill in order to experience it. And what I, would like to suggest, Rob, is that if any people can learn to do it, not people just in hospitals, but people at home, people, and they make the sound, all of a sudden, they're going to go to a place that is
hold on here.
Almost psychotropic, and it'll change their lives.
Hold on here. You see, I come from a different school than most talk show hosts. Like, I give a damn about people. I give a damn about the people who are in the hospitals. I give a damn about the people who are hungry. I give a damn about the people who are homeless. And if this toning method can actually help people, and if I was the inventor, or if I was the person who found that, man, I'd be beating down the doors so hard. I'd contact my congressman, I'd contact my senator, and I would make a positive difference instead of trying to get people whose lives aren't that bad to buy the book. Like, let's help the people who really need it. Never mind the people who can afford it. The people who need it are the ones who can best benefit, right or wrong.
Rob, I'm not in disagreement with you at all. I'm simply coming from a whole lot of experience and frustration. So I'm going to invite anybody who's listening who feels like they want to spearhead and organize this to please, contact me, and we will work with them because it's so important.
But why would you want somebody else to spearhead it, to organize it, when it's your project? Isn't that isn't that passing the responsibility on to someone else?
No, because I also, Rob, have some extraordinary recordings that are really, really powerful and really, really can help reduce pain and do all sorts of things. And then I could just as easily be knocking on hospital doors, sending them, trying to go, why aren't you using these CDs? You need a CD player in every room to help, you will need less painkillers, you'll need less this, that, and the other thing. And those are all true. And actually what we do is we donate different CDs to hospitals, but I can't go over there and see if they're being tossed in the trash, if they're being, what's happening. So I have found for myself that the best thing that I can do is talk about this, The best thing that I can do is do teachings of this, doing transmissions of this, writing books, sharing information such as that. But for myself, at this stage in my development, when I was 30 years old, Rob, I did it. And, I had a lot of doors slammed in my face because they weren't real interested. I think this is so important, but I think it's for somebody else to do. It's like doing research. I think that, one of the things hospitals really, obviously the medical community, the scientific community, people are going, what's the research? Yeah. Where's the proof that this is real? And I go, well, you can just experience it and have the proof. They go, no, we need the, scientific data. We need the scientific research. I'm not a researcher.
All right, stand by. You and I have to take our final break. We'll be back on the other side. My name's Rob McConnell. This is the X Zone on the Talkstar Radio Network. Jonathan Goldman is our guest. His website is www.thedivinename.com. We'll be back after this break. Don't go away. Rob McConnell here, presenting an overview for Nicholas Paul Jennings, author of a fascinating book, Amen. It presents facts revealed by Egyptologists, facts that enable us to understand why Amen is the beginning of creation of God. It provides recommendations for religious leaders of the major religions to unify their beliefs and teach the Word of God. Love one another. Amen informs people how mankind conceived God. It was the Egyptians that developed the concepts of a soul, a hereafter, and Son of God. And finally, after the worship of many gods, they conceived the belief in one universal God, the maker of all there is. For more information, visit www.futureofgodamen.com. That's www.futureofgodamen.com. Jonathan Goldman is our guest this hour. Exonation, www.thedivinename.com. All right, Jonathan, let me ask you that question in a way that you'd be able to hopefully answer us. What are some of the results that you have heard from people who have used your CDs?
Literally, I have. I can't say file cabinet full anymore because we're not that much into paper stuff, but certainly many testimonials from people unsolicited who've used a lot of these CDs for all sorts of experiences, including healing, including really being able to go into deep places of, if you like, resonance with some higher aspect of self. And Rob, one of the things, I have a previous book called The 7 Secrets of Sound Healing.
Right.
And one of the secrets in it is that we're all unique vibratory beings. Because I just have a real quick story, which is this. Years ago, one of the, if you like, reports that I got back from somebody was of a famous writer who shall remain nameless, and they went into the hot tub with their husband. It was a woman, and she had bad eyesight, took off her glasses, listened to this recording that I have called Chakra Chants, and said, hey, I have not needed my glasses since then. And I have no reason to believe that this person is not telling the truth, but Rob, if you knew me, I have very bad eyes. So it didn't heal me, but it did heal this person. And I don't have a purpose, a reason exactly for why that happened. And, with the divine name, for example, I got a call from somebody in the Los Angeles Correctional Department who said that they were using it in the courtyard. They were playing it in the courtyard of this particular prison with really hardened criminals, and the guys were basically these brutal beings were being as docile as lambs when it was going on. And if they didn't play the music, they were asking, going, "Where's that sound? We want the sound." So from the sublime to the even more sublime, it's really, really interesting. Now, one thing I just wanted to quickly mention to you, and maybe we can talk about a little bit later, is that I'm very, very, like you, very, very concerned with making change, and I don't want to just, deal with it as a philosophical thing, but I'm extremely interested in us trying to work together collectively, because I'm most interested at this point not only in personal healing, but in what I call planetary healing.
And all right, you and I still have so much to talk about, but unfortunately for tonight we've run out of time. Jonathan, I want to thank you so much for joining us. Continued success. And X-Zone Nation, if you'd like to find out more about Jonathan, if you'd like to order any of his CDs, the website is www.thedivinename.com. That's www.thedivinename.com. I'll be back on the other side of this commercial break with the news at 6.5 minutes past as the X-Zone continues from our studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Once again, if you'd like to send an email, xzoneradiotv.com. Our website, www.xzoneradiotv.com.